And I feel like the two big highlights from that game as we got picks and bans ready were Nexamiss on the Artio as well as the CaMeRxNii. I don't know if they're going to let those same two picks come through, but we'll have a chance here as Elevate's first pick to see what they do.
I'd be shocked if SoaR was willing to give up the Artio in particular again. It just feels very impactful, and with how well Nexamiss played it and was never under any threat from JacobTask or from Mollusk, even with both of them combined, Elevate's gonna have no problem first picking it again if SoaR give them the option.
Honestly, it felt like they put Nexamiss in the oven, you know, and they let him bake for like 15, 16 minutes. Then he came out good and ready and had a big impact in that game. It was hard to deal with. With Artio available, though, Elevate go with that first pick on Muzen.
So it was the CaMeRxNii ban for SoaR, but they leave open the AMC, and Elevate's going to take it right away. It's probably going to be going to Cameron in that Hunter role. So we're going to go back to the Raijin and the Ratatoskr. I believe that was the same two picks they picked last time. So not only do they give Elevate Artio again, but they give them another priority pick. On top of that, Elevate, as long as they go Artio here, is basically getting everything they want.
And the Erlang Shen is available for them too. So it looks like right now, some of the same picks here, as you said, aside from the Muzen, which almost feels like an upgrade, one that was banned away last game, they couldn't have it. And yeah, take third pick Artio, why not?
Sure, I mean, these are three very potent meta picks right now, and this does give a little bit of a window, though, to SoaR if they want to give Mr. White something that they feel like he can abuse that AMC in lane, something even like Hu Yi, like Mr. White played last game, has a good opportunity to really punish this on Muzen in lane. But if Cameron gets a lead, I mean, watch out. Then it's just basically solo city because no Hunter can keep up with the amount of poke and clear that AMC is going to provide.
I like this, though, from SoaR. Turn some attention towards Mythic in the mid lane. Yes, their composition really got tanky, but what made it all work was the Zeus follow-up that they had. Take away Thoth and Zeus, two big-time mid laners.
I like it, but this leaves DoctorL's God Pool pretty open for him in the jungle. It was the CaMeRxNii ban focusing him out in that first slot. Last game, it was those assassin bans right afterwards. This time, we'll have to wait and see what he wants to go for. Mythic going to be going for the Janus.
Oh, well, Janus, we've been seeing him a little bit more lately. It kind of feels like that's the one when your mid laners are banned out, you fall back to Janus. And it hasn't been super impactful so far as Vamana rounds it out for him. So likely going to be Vamana solo Erlang jungle?
I think it might be Vamana jungle Erlang solo, but or Erlang support Artio solo, sort of same thing that we saw last game. But we'll have to wait and see. This team composition, like you talked about with the last one with Zeus, it's like, yeah, we can protect him and he's going to do all the damage we need. Janus is the exact opposite of that spectrum, where you need damage to surround Janus and make the composition work, or you can kind of use him to move immobile people around the map and keep him safe. So it will help keep AMC safe, you're right, but at the same time, it does concern me about how much damage Elevate might be lacking.
Now Cameron going to be taking the Muzen over there, and as we thought, Nexamiss once again going to have the Artio, DoctorL going to take Vamana into the jungle role, and Kenshin going to reprise his role on that Erlang Shen. And I feel like we kind of weren't giving Kenshin enough credit. His Erlang Shen taunts were pretty big too.
They really were, consistently pulling people back into that lightning storm for Mythic, which ended up boosting his damage by a pretty considerable margin. Kenshin is just a really solid support. He always seems to be very consistent with his gameplay. Very rarely will you see him have an off game, and there are plenty of times where you can look at a VOD and say, man, Kenshin really ended up doing a lot there for his team.
And look at his start, too. I think we talked about it a little bit last game, but it certainly doesn't feel like a traditional support start since he's playing that Erlang Shen. And DoctorL takes way too much damage standing there in the mid lane, gets blown up. Sprint has to come out right away, unable to get any kills off it, but there's an important relic on cooldown.
Plus that base movement speed helping him to get out of there. Even with the sprint, if he's a slower warrior, then probably ends up falling there for first blood, but has a health potion, a multi-potion, plus the Bumba sustain means that he's going to be A-okay. That sprint being down does hurt him, yes, but he'll be able to stay safe until that's back up.
Elevate A-okay with that invade on the blue buff on right, thanks to Nexamiss, as well as Kenshin. So that's the support starting way over there in the solo lane to help him out. That's how we see Cameron over here doing it alone on this Muzen, but he's not having any trouble. Actually, it's JacobTask who's having a little bit of a hard time.
And again, it's a similar matchup. It's a warrior. You expect to have pressure up against an Artio, and this is early. As soon as JacobTask and Nexamiss start to take the 1v1s, that's where we'll see who really is able to get the better end of one another. But as long as DoctorL or Kenshin, whoever it may be, is going to spend time on this right-hand side with Nexamiss, it's going to buy him some more time to get that already potent Artio clear up to speed.
Now, they don't have the AoE damage, but putting Cameron alone in a dual lane kind of feels like a similar idea to last game. You know, let Cameron cook for a little while, then come out as the big Muzen Cobb.
And certainly can, but he has to be careful because Ratatoskr is a really good assassin at punishing immobile players like Muzen Cobb. Look for Mollusk to spend a lot of time on this left-hand side. If I'm SoaR, if I'm Mr. White, I'm telling Mollusk, yo, come to my lane early and come to my lane often, because if I can get a lead onto Cameron, I can really abuse this matchup. But if Cameron's able to solo farm and just do whatever he wants, then I don't know how much I can really do on Medusa.
And we've seen a couple here, talking about Mythic here in the mid lane, we've seen a couple of damage Janus builds lately, veering away from the utility. You think he's going to go more damage to make up for something that may be lacking, or stick with utility?
Well, it looks like with this Book of Thoth start, he's going to be focusing on the damage, and he could kind of split the difference and go for cooldown boots after this, followed by a Chronos Pendant or a Spear of Desolation to try and keep it down the middle and go for both damage and utility. You're right, most Xbox mid laners these days who are playing Janus, which is basically just Mythic and Boronic, tend to favor a more power style of build, but I feel like if you just want power in your mid laner, there are better options than Janus. I prefer,
sure,
at the very least, a hybrid style where you can use that utility to keep your team alive.
Now we're seeing Nexamiss proxy farm back here behind the tier 1 and tier 2. Nexamiss already taken over to level 5. Not a big deal for an Artio, but DoctorL also level 5 too, a little bit ahead of JacobTask.
And has that, it's part of the, because of those invades on the right-hand side, the blue buff being stripped away, and then the fire elementals going Elevate's way as well, means that that's why you see Nexamiss hitting level 5 first. As you mentioned, not too impactful as an Artio, as a true stance switcher.
All right, some trouble that we're going to see over here for Cameron. Beads come out, but it's really just not enough. Mr. White and Mollusk hanging around the corner and making that gank look easy.
Perfect. That's exactly what you do up against an Muzen Cobb. The two new members of SoaR combining to find first blood for the squad, and this gives Mollusk enough time to head back over to the right-hand side and make sure his speed doesn't get invaded at the same time.
And now it looks like they're going to try and go in on the red buff, keep DoctorL at bay, and continue to keep Cameron down on the Muzen Cobb by taking away a little bit more of his dual lane side farm.
And this is perfect. Now Mollusk gets to head back, pick up a wave in mid, and then go over to a speed buff and ensure that no chance for DoctorL and Nexamiss to head on over and invade it.
Oh, and the kill actually goes directly onto Cameron's lane opponent, too. It's Mr. White that gets credit for it. Going to make life a little bit harder for him against Medusa, who can kind of match that Muzen Cobb clear with some of her safeties. He's able to do it from a little bit further away.
Acid Spit, definitely one of the better clearing abilities for hunters, but it does take a little bit to get up there. I mean, Mr. White not going to be able to full clear the wave quite yet. Needs at least 4 or 5 points in that acid spray in order to clear it out. Elevate
got 4 members over here in the jungle of SoaR Gaming around the blue buff, and no one's going to contest him. They're going to be able to continue to take this one away from him for free. So yes, Cameron's falling a little bit behind, but Nexamiss and DoctorL and Kenshin are looking good over here on the solo jungle side.
I like this idea from Elevate because it's, again, all about keeping Nexamiss ahead of JacobTask. That's the matchup they were able to abuse in the last game. Why not try and do it again in this one? Put JacobTask on a warrior who's supposed to be ahead behind, because then he's not going to be able to be as impactful as the team fighting style of Guardian.
Look at Mollusk coming down here and getting back harpies away from the side of away from Elevate's jungle back here. He recognizes that, you know, they've got some pressure on the right hand side of the map, so they're a little bit freer to come down and rotate, or rather they got pressure on this side of the map due to SoaR, so free to come down there and strip away everything they can from Cameron.
And that's the sign of a jungler who's paying attention. He knows his back harpy timers. He can predict where the enemy is going to be, because you can't afford to get caught out in that position. Even with something as mobile as the Ratatoskr, you'd be forced up into your ultimate, or even worse, die before it can get off. So knowing where the enemy is going to be, and if their buffs or camps are going to be up on the backside, it's a good look for Mollusk.
Now he's going in on Cameron one more time, but Cameron's back near his tower, so he might be okay. Brought down beneath half health, and here comes through space and time, though. In response to it, SoaR Gaming recognized the aggression up onto the tree, though, is Mollusk, and he's just going to retreat.
Mollusk using the ultimate defensively to get away instead of to engage on that gank. Knowing Cameron's beads were down, I think it's the better play to just go in and dunk down with that through the Cosmos and set up for Mr. White's Petrify without worrying about, any sort of CC immunity for Cameron. What escape does the bee have? None. He's got a little bit of extra movement speed from Hives. Who cares? You can close that gap easy. Mollusk should have known the beads timers and gone for the more aggressive ultimate initiation. Yes, he could have put him out of position for the through space and time rotation, but with both ultimates being committed, they probably are able to get that kill and get out of danger long before Mythic and DoctorL are able to make it over to the left.
It definitely felt like a soft engage from them over there on that jungle side, but either way, it's actually SoaR Gaming who are out in front in this game here, up about 1,500 or so gold right now, as they do have the first blood bounty that's ticking in their favor too, as they're up 1-0 in the kill so far. But only about 7 minutes into the game. That's not too substantial for him, but it is the beginnings of a lead.
Red buff invade again for SoaR. It's Mollusk all by himself this time, and Nexamiss has made the rotation all the way over from the right-hand side. Mollusk, no chance to get away. He didn't have an ultimate, and Nexamiss gets rewarded for his rotation, picking up the first kill for Elevate.
And that's important. Cameron able to pick up his red buff this time and slow down some of the farm for this Ratatoskr. Gonna help out Elevate a lot. That was the kill onto the best possible target and getting some farm onto Cameron.
And especially on Nexamiss as well, who, again, the idea, get him ahead in that solo lane as Mr. White is able to steal away that purple buff, even with Cameron trying to commit the ultimate to secure it over top of that acid spray damage. Mr. White with that maxed out, can already tell it's doing quite a bit, even more than Cameron was ready for.
It definitely looks like Mr. White has the pressure thanks to some of the presence that we've seen from Mollusk over there in that dual lane, and he's doing the best he can and trying to abuse it, building into that Transcendence now. Actually an engagement though, I can hear Mollusk up in the air. Shaliber able to take down Nexamiss, no problem. Through space and time was committed. Mollusk able to move a little bit further forward, but the ultimate from DoctorL is enough to turn him back, but now he might be the one trapped between four as Mr. White solos Cameron on the left.
DoctorL trying to get away. Don't know if he has enough mana for the dash. Will not. Doesn't matter. TheMedievalDoc is able to bring down the other Doctor, that one with the L, for 4 kills now for SoaR. Mr.
Yeah,
White
doctors
taking
shouldn't be fighting, should they? Come on.
No, doctors, I mean, maybe it's a medical doctor up against, what's the other type?
Like a scientific doctor, I guess? Or?
Yeah. It's not a medical degree, so, you know, they argue about that, don't they?
Yeah, like different types of doctorates. As
Right.
SoaR Gaming are arguing about how free this Gold Fury is over here on the dual lane side, able to pick this one up no problem. And that's going to help out a little bit. They need to go ahead and try and push this gold lead even further after getting several kills across the map. This is a large part because Mr. White able to solo out Cameron.
And that again goes back to the first blood for SoaR onto Cameron, which allows Mr. White to get pressure, means that he can steal away some buffs, play aggressive in that lane, and then ends up finding the solo kill in the 1v1. And not the best look when the god that you're first picking, you know, you got every god in the game except for the 4 that were banned to pick from, and you invest everything into it, and it's already 0-2 and down 2 levels in his lane matchup.
You know, you're right, they first pick it as JacobTask in a lot of trouble. Actually gets knocked up. Still might fall here, actually. I think he is going to fall. They have to commit a little bit more than they planned to. They didn't quite have the damage. That slow wasn't up, and Nexamiss does end up falling, but actually through the Cosmos comes Ratatoskr. Mollusk looking to land down on Nexamiss, and he does get stunned down the middle of that flurry of acorns. Now 4 members surrounding him. This was not for you, Mollusk.
The cripple so big there for Nexamiss, but Mollusk still able to escape with 1 HP, and nice pick up and throw in by MedievalDoc. Sets up Shaliber for the easy kill onto Nexamiss. That's a big one. Cameron again gets soloed in the mid lane though. Oh, that's
he got it with the space of time, perfectly lined up. Wow.
Was he on a ward there? I can't. Yes, it looks like Mollusk might have been on a ward by the speed buff. Really good heads up play there by Mythic, using that ultimate to bring down Mollusk, at least getting something there for elevating that engagement. But again, Cameron gets killed in the 1v1. That just cannot happen. To get soloed twice in, what, 2.5, 3 minutes? You just can't let it happen.
And it looks like what was happening is he was trying to rotate over to the fight, and Mr. White was just shooting him in the back the whole time. That absolutely cannot happen. At a certain point, you got to get on out of there. And now, once again, the red buff being invaded. Actually, use the beads as Mr. White to avoid the portal while they try and contest the red buff.
They had to use beads just to try and secure the buff. Ends up working out for him there because he's going to be able to back and hit level. He's already level 12. He will be able to pick up that Aegis Amulet. Now, if Elevate can take advantage of those purification beads being down, and they certainly need to, someone's got to come over here and help Cameron out, because he's now down 2.5 levels to Mr. White, who's going to be able to back and get even more power items on this back. He's been out for a while now, already completed the full Transcendence. He'll be able to pick up that Aegis and work towards what's probably going to be an Executioner.
And this is looking more like SoaR Gaming here in this game. This is looking like, you know, what their game plan was, and they're working out almost exactly the way that they wanted to coming into this one. Mr. White, one of the new members, looking really big coming out ahead of Cameron. Yeah, pointing out that player damage down there. He's had it a rough so far as Cameron on this Muzen Cobb.
Yeah, and again, it just comes back to it. If you're going to first pick a god, you better do some work on it. As JacobTask again getting ganked, lucky to find that well-timed stun with the Judgment Tether onto Nexamiss, or else that was probably going to be another dive from Elevate.
Every time we talk about how much they invest into picking a Muzen Cobb, JacobTask gets like ganked over here in Soul Lane.
Yeah,
so
it's every time.
If you want JacobTask to get ganked, just say that.
It's kind of like it's actually a secret code that
Sure.
I've worked out with Elevate.
That's good, yeah.
They first pick AMC, Cameron feeds, and then they're able to gank JacobTask.
And, you know, you were saying how they kind of invested a lot into getting this a Muzen cop pick. It kind of doesn't feel that way. They were able to pick Artio right afterwards in the next phase because of the way that SoaR did the pick ban phase. So they kind of got everything they wanted.
Oh, well, maybe they would like some take-backsies with the way that this has gone thus far for the duo lane at least. Certainly the Artio pick has worked out for them in both games, even with Nexamiss finding 2 spills in the early stages. It's really been on counter gank opportunities because DoctorL spent so much time over here trying to make sure that Nexamiss stays ahead.
And this is the question mark for me on Elevate's roster. It's DoctorL on this Vamana. What are they looking to get out of this Vamana jungle?
It's just overall annoyance. Vamana is just one of those characters that is annoying to play against at a competitive level because he sticks to you really, really well. He's very difficult to lock down, and he really does good, reliable, significant damage. And then, of course, the ultimate's there. Now, that's where JacobTask comes in because he's got to use that Lord of the Afterlife to shut down the healing from the Vamana ult. We saw him try and do it in the last engagement. It didn't end up hitting, but eventually DoctorL fell anyways, so it didn't end up being the worst thing in the world for SoaR, but still have to really be on the mark with those Lords of the Afterlife after that last one, because that anti-heal 100% off that ult is going to become really impactful in this game.
It's a big deal for him as, once again, DoctorL hanging around this right-hand side, trying to punish JacobTask. They do end up getting the root off from Nexamiss, and that forces out the Lord of the Afterlife, which you're just talking about how impactful it can be. Now they're freed up to probably take this tier 1 tower down as it's real low.
Mythic, low on health, low on mana, no mana regen items in that build, really. Book of Thoth gives you a lot of mana and some MP5 as well, I believe, but not something like a Sands of Time that can really boost your mana pool up quickly. So he's going to have to back to base, and this could be a Gold Fury pool opportunity for SoaR.
At the very least, they were able to successfully invade the red buff, but over here where Elevate have the pressure, they're trying to invade onto the speed buff. JacobTask gonna have to back off in the 2v1 here, but they're gonna go in on Cameron, recognizing where the pressure is. Mr. White cleans that one up through space and time, gets Mythic here, but I mean, what can he do?
Nothing. I think he thought that SoaR was on the Gold Fury, but they were just going to kill Cameron instead. I think I'd prefer to see SoaR on the Gold Fury. I think that getting that global objective probably a little bit better, but killing Cameron once more and getting his tier 1 tower, continuing to push Mr. White farther ahead, not a bad look, but with 3 members showing themselves on the right-hand side, really thought that was a good opportunity for SoaR.
Certainly JacobTask was making that call that he had them all here. Forcing the beads out of Mythic, though, that's a pretty big win for MedievalDoc, and DoctorL commits his ultimate, now trying to look to get a little bit out of Mollusk from it.
I think he was a little worried that he saw Mollusk on that ward underneath. Is Mr. White's actually going to fall or get Mythic over the wall with a dot from the first ability.
The rest of SoaR need to get here quick, though. The Aegis buys him the time they need. Big stun coming out. MedievalDoc able to clean up DoctorL. Kenshin gonna be the one who falls next. SoaR Gaming starting to kind of run away with this one.
Mr. White just doing it all for this squad. The newest addition in that Hunter role has come up big. He's 5-0-2, top of the player damage charts there, applying the anti-heal to Kenshin right before the heal came off. We were talking about the anti-heal from JacobTask's ultimate. Well, how about Lacerate? That's a big anti-heal, but you have to commit an aggressive dash on a Hunter. A little bit risky, but in that case, you're able to do it. Now, SoaR could have also done the Fire Giant there. You saw Mr. White kind of stare at it like, hey, is this a possibility? But instead, they decided to pick up a tower. I really prefer to get these towers off the map instead of things like Gold Fury and Fire Giant, it seems.
And the Muzen cop pick really has not worked out for it. It's really gotten Mr. White heavily ahead because they've been able to invest a lot into that dual lane. He's 5-0-2, level 17, far and away the most XP out of everyone on the map. Cameron getting some much-needed solo farm, but it kind of feels like a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. It's not really impactful right now. I mean, Mr. White got plenty of farm on the right-hand side. Wasn't all by himself, but a tower, a couple kills, a portal demon, that's more than a wave or two is going to get you on that left-hand side. And Elevate truly is just lucky that SoaR hasn't taken more from the way that they've played in this game. It's showing it three people on the right-hand side when Mythic is very low on health and mana. That's a free Gold Fury 9 out of 10 times. They're lucky to have only lost a tower for it.
Instead, Elevate choosing to not worry too much about going for that Gold Fury, instead just keeping Cameron down. They don't want to let that late game Muzen Cobb, come back out in any kind of shape or form here. So they instead go over and take the Portal Demon, take that tier 1 tower. Now they're sitting up close to 7,000 or so gold in the lead. Good blink in comes out from MedievalDoc, brings Mythic real low, forces him to get out of there. I think that's through space and time. That's going to be on cooldown now for him, an important ult.
And that's it trades out Medieval's ultimate in exchange, but on the right-hand side, JacobTask is getting chased down. He's already used his ultimate to try and get away. Nice double stun from that Judgment Tether, but turning around is not the right play there.
Why would he turn back around? He gets stunned out. He gets the lead under tower. Likely would have died anyway as Gold Fury gets taken down by SoaR Gaming. Mollusk landed down on top of Cameron, but the real focus was Kenshin in the back on Erlang Shen.
Trying to steal away that Gold Fury, wasn't able to do so. SoaR get their second of the game, and with one member dead from Elevate, not going to be able to get a whole lot, maybe a mid-tier 1 push. It's the only tier 1 left standing on Elevate side of the map.
And it kind of feels like SoaR Gaming have chosen to give up on JacobTask this game. That's sort of how it feels for them. We're winning on the left-hand side of the map, so let's just focus there. And JacobTask, sorry, buddy, you're kind of going to have to tough this one out.
Exactly. Just keep Artio busy, please, because we don't really want to deal with her anytime soon. So even if DoctorL's over there, we can just kill people on left, get a Gold Fury, get a tower, sure. I mean, just losing one laner for that, not a big deal at all.
Yeah, the trade is heavily favored SoaR Gaming so far this game as they set up 11-4 in the kills. Now it kind of feels like the map's open to them. Where do they want to go? Portal Demon's down for a good while, so is Gold Fury. So forcing a fight over Fire Giant's not out of the realm of the possible.
No, but I think I'd like to see them group up on the right-hand side, get the Portal Demon as it respawns, and then try and force this tier 2 tower. You can really go the other way around as well. Try and force the tier 2 tower, whether it goes well or not. You could probably back up and try and pull that Portal Demon. SoaR definitely should look to group, but can't really blame them if they want to group on the left-hand side to stay away from Nexamiss and keep trying to fight Cameron.
Cameron feeling himself a little bit over here against Mollusk, commits the stinger onto him. Not much comes out of it. As you can see, he's really just not hitting that hard against the tanky Ratatoskr that Mollusk has built here so far. Instead, just going to back up.
I think he realized he was pretty low on the player damage charts. He was trying to boost it up.
That makes sense.
He's still at the bottom.
It's not helping, but I mean, I get his thought process.
Yeah, the thought's there. And sometimes it's the thought that counts. This isn't one of those times, but sometimes.
Yeah, so I think that might be a little bit more than a thought that's about to happen to Cameron over here as Mr. White just kind of chooses to come over and bully him, and then they can. Flips him up, forces out the Aegis. There's a little bit of a root in place, too. And no one else really committed that hard onto the kill, but it really just kind of feels like if SoaR Gaming wanted to come kill Cameron, then they can.
Whenever they really want to. He has to use the Aegis there, and Medieval holds on to the ultimate just in case, because now he's going to look for it again, because Mollusk is up into the sky.
And Mollusk does come crashing down on top of Cameron in the back line, and he gets deleted easy peasy. Now they're actually going to put some pressure on the Kenshin. Thorn's ticking, but I don't think anybody really cares. 2 quick kills go down in favor of Elevate. Tier 2 tower going to fall as well, as once again, Nexamiss nowhere to be found.
He's playing a solo game right now. It's kind of similar to Solitaire, but it's more like a farm simulator Solitaire sort of combination on the right side of the map here, because he just does not want to be a part of these team fights. Elevate desperately need him, but he's trying to keep his KDA nice and pristine, I suppose.
But at some point in Farm Simulator, don't you like send your crops to market? Nexamiss needs to harvest or something.
Well, see, I played mid lane, so I've actually never played Farm Simulator. It's actually just like a bunch of people who attack me all the time.
Oh, that's right. So you just ask everyone else to do everything for you. Please protect me.
Yeah, exactly. Please, I need help.
That's quality mid lane commentary coming out of
No, I've never
Ryan
seen these
Agro-Bailey.
That's why I like the crabs, is because I never got to see them.
Ryan Agro-Bailey giving us all the knowledge here, but it's SoaR Gaming who have all the control. Grouping up over here on this right side of the map one more time. Still not trying to pull the Portal Demon just yet. I mean, it kind of feels like the game's in their control, so when they're ready, it'll happen.
Gold Fury being up at about a minute and a half, maybe SoaR want to really continue this pressure on the left-hand side and not worry about the right, and because that's Nexamiss's farm, but you can still try and pull it now because Nexamiss is coming back from base, and it's to the point now where even with how much farm he's been able to get for himself and the fact that he still has a lead over JacobTask, it doesn't really matter because you're looking to level 19 Medusa and a level 17 mid laner.
No, like I've already said, I kind of think SoaR Gaming have forgotten that JacobTask contributes to the team. Nexamiss, this is an important kill if they're able to get it, and they do slow him down. Up in the air, though, is Mollusk looking to come crashing down. There are some low health targets. Through space and time comes through, does some good damage, but Mollusk not able to land on target.
DoctorL trying to chase down Mr. White. Nice ultimate up and over the wall by DoctorL. Pin finally does bring Mr. White down. Kenshin gets a ton of gold for the bounty.
Shalberd comes crashing over the top. That's going to set up a kill on the Mythic. As soon as that Aegis runs out, Kenshin, those thorns are not going to be enough to help you 1v4 here, sir. You might be a little bit dead to right. That pin almost caught Mollusk, but he's just a little bit tankier than your average rat.
The world's slowest turtle doesn't get Kenshin out of there. That's going to be 4 members. Cameron doing his best Nexamiss impression.
He's got some structure damage.
He's getting there.
Can we see
This
structure
tower
now?
is going to kill him. He's going to die to this tower. Yeah.
It'd been funny if he did. Kenshin at least, Cameron rather, at least able to get something back on the map, but they're trading a Fire Giant for a tier 2. And that's really the best Cameron could have got out of that, though. So I definitely think kudos to him to keep pushing over there and get that for his team.
Yeah, I jest, but that is the right call for Cameron. I mean, he's useless in these team fights at this point. I mean, he's 0-5. He's not going to be doing any damage, so you may as well get your team some global gold. Try and counteract all the global gold you gave to the opposition with the deaths.
There you go. Now he's going to get started up this Gold Fury over in the left side of the map. Once again, Cameron recognizes that he can't really team fight, so, just take out some of the PvE it for a little while, Cameron. PvE.
And this is going to work out. I mean, he just got 1,500 gold with that, with the tier 2 tower, even more than that with the 21-minute Gold Fury. That puts Elevate on the board in terms of global objectives with 2 Gold Furies already going SoaR's way. That last gold ends up being pretty impactful here for Elevate.
Yeah, now only about 6,000 in the lead is SoaR Gaming, but what accents that, though, is the Fire Giant on 4 members. Interestingly enough, though, that kill of Mr. White does take it off the most important member, I think, of SoaR Gaming right now.
Yeah, and Elevate's support, Kenshin, actually gets a really big boost from that. I don't know exactly how much golden experience he got, but it was a hefty sum, to be sure, with a level 19 Medusa, who was 7-0 at that point. I mean, you're going to be getting a lot of golden experience, so that really contributes to him getting a little bit tankier, and that's exactly what Elevate desperately need.
Tier 2 tower in mid's going to fall, and I don't think anyone on Elevate is thinking about defending this one, as another 1,500 global gold gets put into the pockets of SoaR Gaming to make up for that Gold Fury that was taken away by Cameron. Now the call is going to be the mid Phoenix. Up into the air is Mollusk. He's looking to come crashing out on Cameron one more time. If it's worked before, why wouldn't it work now? Into the back line, though, goes Nexamiss. Through space and time, actually comes through and hits, helps delete Mr. White. That's a big target.
That's huge. That's the guy who's doing everything right now for SoaR. Shalibur's trying to put it on Nexamiss, but he can't bring him down as Cameron is going to put himself on the board.
Cameron gets a kill here, 2 for 1 so far in favor of Elevate. Portal from Mythic gets out of trouble just for the moment. Now they're going to back up, but they defend the Phoenix and get 2 priority kills.
That's a huge fight for Mythic in particular. I mean, the through space and time bringing Mr. White down from 70% to 5% in the blink of an eye, and that's before Ratatosk's done for Mythic, so he might be able to continue to do that throughout the game, and that could really put Elevate back into it. I mean, they've got a lot of structures to bring down before we're talking about Elevate being in position to win this game, but that's fight 1 of 3 or 4 that Elevate need to get back into this game.
And Mythic has to do that every fight because of his build. He's gone pure damage here so far. I know you said you wanted to see a hybrid, but I don't think Mythic heard you. He's just trying to hurt people, and if he doesn't do that every fight, then the build's not getting the most out of it.
Well, it's a stylistic thing. I mean, that if Mythic is more comfortable, his mindset is about dealing damage all the time and not using your portals and thresholds to move your team around and save teammates and give teammates engage. I mean, he's still, number 1, he's fun. I mean, let's be honest.
That's true.
He's like the most. He's like the most fun character ever, except for maybe Zeus, who we got to play last game. Mythic's just having fun right now in the mid lane. Number 2, long-range damage and safety. You're not going to get any safer than Janus, so you can still use him as that artillery mage and do big damage with him and kind of rely on portals for safety. I don't disagree. I think that the optimal Janus play is a little bit of a hybrid of teamwork and that damage that he can provide. But if that's your style, then building to complement it will work.
Lots of ultimates committed here to kill Kenshin so far, and they do successfully get it thanks to Mollusk dropping in with his ult, but 3 big ones are already off the table. Shaliburr under some trouble from Nexamiss, who's getting to have a big impact in the team fight. DoctorL comes crashing in too, but Shaliburr just kind of leaves.
But this time, Mr. White gets to stay alive and do plenty of damage, and that's why Nexamiss has to retreat. I mean, that's nearly a full build Medusa. Has got the chin size, has the Odysseus bow now as well. It's spreading throughout that team fight. As soon as Titan's Bane is done, Nexamiss, DoctorL, Kenshin, doesn't matter. They're not going to last long with that Medusa bow.
And Dagus that keeps Shaliburr alive in that fight. Now Shaliburr able to go back to base, get full health, while the rest of his team, led by Mr. White, take down this tier 2 over here in the right lane, leaving all 3 Phoenixes exposed. Only a minute before the Fire Giant comes back up one more time.
And this is perfect timing because this means that Shaliburr can stop by, get red buff, make sure he'll have that for the next fight around Fire Giant if Elevate even want to come in and fight around Fire Giant. As the rest of his team, they can get Portal Demon back, spend the gold. Shaliburr could probably get closer to finishing off that Rod of Tahuti. The Titan's Bane can be finished off by Mr. White. These are power items that will make it that much easier for SoaR to take this engagement.
You were talking earlier about some of the most fun gods in the game. It only has like 20-something on it, right? Because all you play are mages?
No, I think other characters are fun. Apollo was my first diamond. I think Apollo's
But you play
fun.
him in mid, though, right?
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
I used to play Hunter back in the day, and then Gas Pedal got removed, and I was immediately trash.
I only need to hit one thing in a team fight, right? That's how you feel after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, if that one thing is going to pop up 800, then I'm going to feel good about myself. You can't stop me, Finch.
Now SoaR Gaming feeling good about themselves, though. They're the ones out in front here with like a 9,000 gold lead, and Mr. White's kind of running the team fight. Nexamiss, who's been the bright spot for Elevate so far, having to turn tail here in that bear form and back off a little bit as the Fire Giant is back onto the map. But I don't think Elevate are going to have a chance to defend this one aggro.
Mythic's ultimate is the key factor here for Elevate. Will he fire it off to try and steal it, or try and kill someone, or just hold it for the defense?
And they are going to fight. It looks like over on the right side, Mollusk going in on a Nexamiss. He's been the target here. Shalaber also had his ultimate forced out just by DoctorL in the back as the fight kind of branches off in two directions. Nexamiss very low, but Mollusk has to retreat with his ultimate, so that trade actually kind of goes in favor of Nexamiss.
It does. That through space and time comes out, though, from Mythic and doesn't really end up hitting anybody, but gives Elevate a chance to try and continue this fight in. Nice double knock up there. Shalaber falling low, has to use the purification beads, but DoctorL may have gone a little bit too far forward through that portal.
Cameron now here to help out a little bit. Got that Mad Guy's Blessing bubble around him, so he should be a little bit safer if Mollusk continues to force him out. But that's got to be a win for Elevate because SoaR Gaming can't get the Fire Giant. Sure, no one dies, but they delay the push.
There's a couple relics used there by SoaR that on the other side, Elevate didn't really need to use. I'm looking specifically at the purification beads in the mid lane for Shalaber, whereas Mythic was able to hold both of his relics. Now, Mythic needs to continue to farm up, try and get closer to that Rod of Tahuti. So already had the Lost Artifact. Going to take a pretty big portion of gold, about 1,300, to get toward the restored artifact, and he still got a lot more gold after that for Rod of Tahuti. There's a reason it's the most expensive item in the game, though. It makes the biggest impact for the mages, no doubt.
But I don't know if Elevate can make a second miracle defense happen. Nexamiss is here to try and slow him down as SoaR Gaming get it started up. Nexamiss has to back off. Kenshin gets the pin off, and he's going to be the one trying to go in and get the two-man top. MedievalDoc, though, immediately ready to just throw Kenshin back into the damage from Shalaber, who cleans that one up. Now Nexamiss is too low. Nexamiss is too dead.
Petrify coming up big there for Mr. White. Cameron is next on the buffet menu. JacobTask is going to be able to chase him down without much issue. Shalaber finds another one, and 4 members dead in the blink of an eye for SoaR Gaming.
And Mythic might be the next one on the chopping block. Portals, though, are enough to get him on out of there. And that means it is just 4 for 0 in favor of SoaR Gaming, continuing to push, though, or SoaR Gaming. I don't even think they feel like they have to get the Fire Giant in this case. With nobody alive for Elevate, just come get the Phoenix.
That ultimate ends up being really big, though, for Elevate. That poked down Mr. White and JacobTask enough that, yeah, Elevate, or SoaR rather, decide that they can't end, even with Mythic being the only one alive. Doesn't end up killing anybody, but that through space and time does force SoaR to not end the game right away.
And Mollusk recognized this. Mythic was continuing to push forward to try and contest, so he turns back around to sort of show face a little bit. But now he's veering off to the side, and Mythic still looping around. SoaR plenty of wards along this back end, though, so they'll know if he commits in, and now it looks like this Fire Giant is going to go down for free.
Nuts, and a good fight by SoaR, just kind of abusing that Xing Chen ultimate. Medievals had a really, really nice game on this Xing Chen. A 3-0 and 16, been a part of 19 of SoaR's 23 kills. It set up plenty with that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. And Shalaber has been in really good position in these last few fights. Mollusk is going to find the solo kill there on a Mythic.
Yeah, Mythic was not in a good position just now, getting caught out by Mollusk over there by those oracles.
John, it's really important that you have Oracle Vision at 29.5 minutes.
Yep. Just go ahead and type that up and send it to Mythic in an email so he knows that he was making the right call there. Instead, he falls, got a 35-second respawn timer. He's going to be waiting out while the rest of SoaR Gaming look to try and end.
And they might be able to, just off the pressure that Mythic being dead provides, because Mythic has done so much in this game for Elevate to keep them in it. Now with him dead for the next 20 seconds, it means that SoaR's not going to waste any time on that Gold Fury. Instead, they can just try and push for a Phoenix right away.
And that's what they're going to do. They're looking for this left side Phoenix. Mollusk doesn't quite have the ultimate available, but he should still be able to rotate over to the fight in time to help. DoctorL's off to the side. Not going to be able to defend this one, as he's not going to be a part of it.
Nexamiss down to half, less than that. Nexamiss very close to death as he's stuck in the middle of everybody. Mollusk's going to get himself another one as Mr. White's on the run, going to turn around and throw that Petrify, take Cameron with them for good measure. 2
quick kills, though, for Elevate onto Mollusk and Mr. White, so some important members have fallen. Mythic and Elevate, and Mythic and Kenshin, the only one still standing up, as that left side Phoenix does continue to get sieged by Task, Shalaber, and MedievalDoc. They're going to have to hold off just for the moment, though, because Kenshin and Mythic can put up a defense.
Shalaber going to be the guy who's trying to do the majority of this damage as Kenshin going to turtle form in to the rest of SoaR. That was not the call there. Shalaber gets the easy kill as the rest of SoaR is able to finish off the deicide, and that's going to do it.
Yeah, that's too bad, Aggro, because I really do think that between Mythic there and Kenshin, they had a chance to defend on that left side Phoenix. Instead, they kind of go too far forward, take too much damage from Shalibur. Now they will take down the Phoenix, able to take down the Titan. They actually don't even need the left Phoenix. Just go in and win. MedievalDoc finally add to death onto his count, though. It comes at the hand of the Titan.
Let it be known, though, that no man could bring down MedievalDoc. It
Right.
takes a Titan to be able to do that.
Takes a Titan to bring down MedievalDoc, and it also takes some Oracles if you want to win in the late game when your team's down 8,000 gold. Make sure you go pick those up.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for Elevate to have their first win and then have a real tough performance after that.
Sure.
Coming into LAN, I mean, it does give them a little bit of confidence. They know they can take a game off a team like SoaR, who is on the up and up. It's also a good confidence booster for SoaR to be able to pick up new guys like Mr. White and Mollusk and have a performance like this right before LAN.
And they did look really good in this performance. I think that if I'm Elevate, I don't even feel too bad about that second game. They almost started to come back into it. They just get a little bit outboxed, large part because Mr. White was so big in this game early.
Yeah, I mean, the regular season is there to learn lessons and prepare yourself for LAN, and I think that Elevate learned that they probably shouldn't pick AMC come November.
If you pick AMC, get someone to help him. I mean, Cameron was just on an island out there getting deleted, and that's what got Mr. White to this position where he was able to do what we're seeing here right now, where he was able to be the one that was really the engine for the train that was SoaR Gaming in this game. He was doing all the damage. He was the one just like this, coming in and blowing up team fights, making Cameron look rough.
And that's the advantage of having a new guy who has a big game like this in
Sure.
his debut set. Now Mr. White can come to LAN and feel like he's got a chance to play with just about anybody here.
Well, he knows that when he comes in now, he's shown that if you give me a chance, I can absolutely carry. And that's what everyone else got to worry about, too. Elevate and SoaR don't look so free down there at the bottom anymore.
No, I mean, despite their poor records on the season, they have a lot of potential, and they've got a lot of talented players. I mean, Shalibur and MedievalDoc on SoaR, those guys, anytime they're in a game, they're going to have a chance to win because of their individual talent. Elevate's got DoctorL and Kenshin and Cameron, these guys who have had a lot of success at this stage, so you can't really afford to overlook them come to LAN.
And we had a long day of console league action here today, especially with that second set. So we take a look back over that schedule just to make sure that we see how everything's looking before we head into that LAN. There was that split early between Era Eternity and Enix. That was a kind of a big deal. Enix hadn't lost before that, and then Kaz 2-0'd Rival.
Yeah, Rival actually missing LAN in Europe. Absolutely crazy.
It's a big deal.
If you're going to be rewatching that Kaz Rival set, make sure you have plenty of supplies because you're going to be there for a little bit. The longest game in Smite competitive history.
It was a lengthy game, like 74 minutes. What was it?
Over 70, 73, 74, something like that.
Yeah, between those two games, though, there was a lot of Smite action, so certainly worth looking back over. Astral Obey was the first set there on the North American side. I think it was Astral that came out ahead in that one, continuing to remain up at the top, I believe, in North America.
And Myth Gaming actually able to take down SB 2-0. Sure. SB came into today at the top of the standings, tied there with Astral Authority.
Right. That's
a really big win for Myth to really get some momentum. They secured third seed coming into LAN.
And kind of a big win for Astral Authority. Now they're the only ones up at the top, so I'm sure they might be buying some drinks for Myth there just to sort of help that out. Let's go ahead and take a look actually at those standings so we can make sure that we got everything lined up correctly. Astral Authority alone up there at the top now.
16 points. They're only split, I believe, with Strictly Business. So AA continues their reign of dominance that they've had all split long, really. I mean, the champions of the spring and summer lands, they're going to come here in the next month and try and make it 3 in a row.
And I believe we're going to be getting everyone from North America here at the LAN. Only a couple teams going to be coming out from the Europe side of it. So that's why those Europe games are so important here at the top. And then the seeding was what's going to be important for North America.
I can't believe Rival's not going to be coming to LAN. I mean, those guys have been the best team in Europe for over a year, and it really hasn't been close. It's going to be crazy to think that we'll see 2 European teams and one of them won't be Rival.
And it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere right from the beginning of this fall split. Europe looked way more competitive than we've been used to seeing.
But it was still Rival on top for all of it. And then during the summer finals, Rival get their first set victory ever against a North American team. Everyone's like, yeah, Rival's on the way. They're going to do it. Just wait until fall finals. And now they're just not going to be here.
Yeah, it's sad to see. Unfortunately, we won't have Rival there with them. But still, we did have a lot of good console action here just throughout the entire day. And again, this is all going to be culminating for them in that LAN when everyone gets to come down to Alpharetta and we see them play here on LAN.
It's going to be exciting because that's how they qualify for Worlds. I mean, a lot of teams coming down, 8 teams in total, but not everyone's going to be going to Worlds. You can't believe, I mean, there's going to be some teams that it's going to be tough to say that their season's going to be done come next month.
Yeah, it's real rough to think about it, but hey, you don't have to worry about going through some kind of gauntlet if you want to make it to World. All you got to do is just buy a couple tickets. If you want to come down and say hey to Aggro, let him know that you're not too impressed by his mid lane play to his face. All you got to do is buy a ticket.
Money match me, stupid. You can come in and say it to my face.
I wouldn't take that up, actually.
Yeah.
That sounds scary.
Free money for me.
Free money, yeah. Well, that's all you got to do if you want to get to HRX. Again, maybe you'll even get a chance to meet Ron Jobber if he wins the caster. Rip me on the caster there, Aggro. It's sad to say, but rip me.
Yeah, I was rooting for Ron anyways.
I'm sure you were not.
I was the only person, actually. The only one on Earth who was rooting for Ron. I actually wasn't. That's it. I can't even say it with a straight face.
No.
I felt dirty. I need a shower.
Well, either way, that's going to do it for us here on the Smite console league side of things. Thanks for sticking with us, and join us here on the LAN.